is I have an announcement to make that because many people say they like this retreat very much, we decided to cancel all of the pickups and the flights so we can stay here another week. Good idea? Yay! Sometimes we always have this story of this it was a Kiwi monk, and he went to a Korean monastery and what was his name? I think not Heian, I think Heilong or something. Anyway, he went to this Korean monastery and very, very strict. And they had their meditation retreats for 60 days. And you would meditate, no of this nice teddy bear meditation. This was really tough. Having 50 minutes sitting meditation, then 10 minutes walking, 50 minutes sitting, 10 minutes walking, right throughout the day. And that your food was brought right to you, so you had to sit in the same place to eat your food. And that you had to ask permission to go to the toilet. And when it got late at night, you actually slept in the same place. There was no escape. But it was for really tough. Oh, there was one escape. You can go to see the master, the teacher, and ask your questions. If you didn't answer questions, right whack. Really strict retreat. That was really the scariest thing. But 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, he was really tough. He was going to fight through the pain. And if you're meditating that many hours of the day, it was really painful after a few days. Backache, knee ache, headache, everything ache. And then just what would happen by the end of the day, the last gong would go, and then he'd lay down just to get some stretching out. And as soon as he lay out, he went fast asleep immediately, and bang, start all over again. So it was really tough. And the first week lasted forever. And the second week, he thought he can't take this anymore. This isn't the Buddhism he signed up for. He's going to leave. But it's like pride. He saw all these Koreans sitting there perfectly straight. He was the only Westerner, and he said, well, they can do it, I can do it. So pride kept him in for the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then after 3 weeks, he couldn't stand it any longer, still had another 5 weeks to go. And he thought, if I run away now, it'd be like unfaithful to all the hard work I've done already. So he pushed and endured, and he got to the halfway mark. There's something about stupid psychology. We've done halfway, so the rest will be easy. It doesn't work that way. When you get the halfway mark, time slows down. So the next 2 weeks was like 2 months. But, it's really hard work. And then the last 2 weeks, that was like a year. The last week was like a decade. And the pain just got worse and worse and worse. And the last day, he woke up, this was the last day. And on those retreats, it's really hard work. But afterwards, they look after you. So they always would arrange hot baths. Like Japanese, you can lay in this hot bath and just all your aches and pains will go. And a big feast to celebrate the fact that you've done this 60-day retreat. So when he woke up in the morning, everything was aching all over. But still, only a few more hours and the retreat will be over. Bring on the hot bath. He really earned that. But that day was really long. But of course, eventually you come to the last hour. The last hour of the retreat, the last 50 minutes. Only 50 minutes to go. He'd done 59 days. And I don't know how many more hours. This was only the one 50 minutes to go. And that almost killed him. He told me this. He said, that 50 minutes was like an eternity. He would sit here, and there was a clock, and he'd sit there, and after about, he thought it was at least half an hour, he'd peek at the clock, 5 minutes. Okay, close his eyes, this is really... And then he started thinking, fantasizing. He thought, who knows, maybe the batteries in the clock have run out. Maybe that clock's going to stop and the master won't know it. Because that's what it felt like. Half an hour went past and it was still such a long time. 5 minutes to go, and that stretched out so long. 4 minutes, 3 minutes, and finally, at last, the sweetest sound he could ever remember. The gong to finish the retreat. 60 days. Such endurance. Wow, he was really so pleased with himself that 60 days. And even though it was hurting, these waves of bliss, of doing something really hard and doing a 60-day retreat and not running away where many times he thought he should. He was a survivor. But when they were about to finish the retreat, the master, the teacher, said, I have an announcement to make. Exactly. And the master said, this is true story, this is not a joke, it happened. The master said, during your interviews, you've all been telling me how much progress you've made on this retreat and how valuable it has been. And 2 of you monks have asked me yesterday, is it possible that we can extend this retreat by another 2 weeks? And I've been contemplating this last night, and I thought it's a very good idea. So the retreat is extended. Carry on meditating. This monk's name was Hamwol. Hamwol, I remember now. Don't know what that means in Korean, but Hamwol. But anyway, poor old Hamwol, he had to cross his legs again. He said it was amazing, he never felt any pain. Never felt any pain. He felt sheer rage, anger. He was just thinking, who could those monks be? Which ones were they? Because once he found out, then he contemplated all the torture he was going to do to them. He was not a compassionate Mahayana Buddhist monk anymore. He was going to really take the top. And because he was so angry and just so murderous, that's when the bell rang. Half an hour gone past, like nothing. And the master said, retreat over, hot bars are down there, lots of food, enjoy, well done. And poor old Howell, what are you talking about? I thought we'd do another 2 weeks. Is it over? Is it carrying on? What's going on? And one of the other senior monks who'd been there said, that master, he does the same trick every year. And poor old Howell said, he learned more in that last half hour about expectation and pain and stuff than the whole 8 weeks put together. It's a lovely little story. Expectation, that's what kills you. And when you enjoy it, yes, I made it. No, sit down, carry on. Oh. So there's many things which you learn on this retreat, and it's not just jhanas and nimittas and stuff, just all the stuff which happens here. It doesn't always go the right way. There's always someone says something or does something that you don't like. Someone takes your piece of toast, which you put in there, and you just have to go and put another one in. And it's amazing, stupid stuff that people get upset about. So people are always trying their best, but one secret I hope you've learned, that no one is perfect in this monastery, in this retreat center, not even me. Even I tell bad jokes. A few times the jokes have fell flat. But that is life. So little by little we learn to make peace, be kind, be gentle with life, and not to expect so much. And little by little when we don't expect so much, we tend to grow much more. As I mentioned, there was one of the sayings, not just for meditation mostly, that just lower your expectations of yourself, your partner, your children, your parents, your monks, your nuns, your life. When you lower expectations, life is so much more peaceful and happy. We have so much more expectations of what people can do for us and what we should be. We have more expectations of what enlightenment is. If you lower the expectations of what enlightenment is, then you can discover enlightenment. So, because it's all this wanting business which causes us stress. And of course, I notice that people, many hundreds and thousands of people actually listen to these talks, and every now and again they send me something back of what's happening in the world, especially in the world of business, and that actually is one of the little articles they said. They said to learn how to have less expectations, and then you find you do much better in life. And also companies do better. So that is my creed for my business plan. Less expectations. So that's, and so thank you for fulfilling my business plan. I didn't expect much of you this retreat. And you can... No, because I lowered my expectations so far, you all exceeded my expectations. And I exceeded my expectations too, because I didn't have any. So little by little you learn a little bit. And of course, one of the things you found in this retreat, just meditation is fun. Have some happiness, have some jokes. And many, many times you managed to hold the door open to me so I could pass through, and then I could run and get the door before you did and let you go through the door. Just that degree of fun, joy, playfulness is so important to get insight. I learned that when I was at Cambridge in the Rutherford laboratory. That here's the equipment, play with it. What do you mean play with it? It's experiment, see what happens. And several times I saw this equipment go bang and sparks come up. You were never told off, because every now and again, 100 times you blow up the equipment, but the one time when it didn't blow up, that would be a Nobel Prize. This is where you start to have this beautiful sense of being able to explore. That's why when people ask me, how do you contemplate the Dhamma? And contemplate is more like thinking. So I changed that word to exploring the Dhamma. And exploring, I think, is much more accurate to the meaning, and it's also much more productive because you explore, meditating this way, looking at this thing, going to places you've never been before, like the great explorers. Which is why that, even when I was a young man, I used to watch Star Trek. Anyone here watch Star Trek? Captain Kirk, yeah? And it was always, because I like the opening, when it said, to boldly go where no monk has gone before. It said to boldly go, obviously, but it said, I changed to boldly go where no monk has gone before. That's exploring. And that exploration is where we get innovation. It's also where we get insight, because you stay in the same old areas, same old things, same old understanding, reconfirms your delusion. And so what it means is we don't make that progress. And so that exploration with some courage, trying a different path, trying to do something else, because this is similes. People ask at this time of the retreat, well, how close am I? I say, you're that close. And I'm not joking. But sometimes it makes years and years and years and years, lifetimes sometimes. Because it's like a person just going parallel to a stream, looking for a bridge. They go up the stream, down the stream, up the stream, down the stream. That's not how you cross a stream. You just turn a direction you've never been before, perpendicular to the stream. And you literally just step over, and you're on the other side. But people don't go in the right direction, up, down, instead of going perpendicular, right angle. That's actually pretty accurate. So that's actually what happens. You're very, very close. But it may take you forever. That's why sometimes when the people are meditating or practicing and sometimes something happens, oh yeah, okay, and it all happens because they go in a slightly different direction than they've been before. They explore. And they're courageous as well. Because what happens in meditation, some of you, if it's not now, it's later on, you get things like, what's this? It doesn't matter what it is. Explore, find out. So be courageous. Fun, joy makes you courageous. One of the things I learned with public speaking, when I enjoy myself, as you know. You try and crack jokes and try and mess around. Because when I mess around and have jokes and have play, I'm having fun giving my talks. And because I have fun, you relax. And you also explore. And sometimes I say things, wow, who said that? That was interesting. That's novel, that's neat. So, that's why, what was that time, I think I don't know, nothing against Singapore, I love Singaporeans. But there was this Singaporean came to me, I couldn't believe it. He said, I want to know about Buddhism, can you teach me basic Buddhism, but I've got to go to work in 2 minutes. Wow. And so, okay, so let's explore, what can I do? And I sort of, obviously if I didn't do it right I wouldn't tell you, those are the things I forget, but this one actually worked. I said, well yeah, life is asking from this world something it can never give you. And so no, suffering. Suffering is asking from this world what it can never give you. I like that one, that's pretty good, that sums up the Eightfold Path. You ask for this world what it can never give you. So everybody treats you properly. They never make mistakes. People don't snore during the meditation. They don't bang their doors. That you can find a partner in life who just knows everything you want when you want it, and when you don't want it, they leave you alone. They're always there to entertain you and make you happy, but when you want some quiet time, they shut up. And as somebody noticed, what you really want is a TV. Not a partner. But life is like that, so we come over here just to get some peace and quiet. And it's a nice resource here for you. Oh, what was that story? That's a true story from a newspaper which I cut out and reprinted. It was this woman, I think she was in some place in the United States. She came back from the supermarket with her weekly shopping, and her hands were just full of these bags of groceries. And as she opened the door, a dog ran right past her into her house. It wasn't her dog, somebody else's dog. And she couldn't stop it because her hands were full of groceries. So she opened the door, kicked the door shut, put the groceries on the table, went to look for where this dog was and what it was and what it was doing in her house. And it was this beautiful Labrador, a very lovely dog, and it was curled up in a corner fast asleep. And it was obviously belonged to someone. It wasn't a stray dog. It was well groomed, had a collar on it, and all it was doing was curled up sleeping. I said, I can sort of let it have a corner of my house for a little while. And a couple of hours later, the dog got up and did a little bark, very soft bark, so she could let it out the door, and then the dog disappeared. It was really weird. But the next day, the same time, the dog came back, barking at the door, so she let it in, and it curled up in the corner of the house again for a couple of hours, and then left. And this became a routine every afternoon about the same time. And after about 5 or 6 times, this dog coming in, curling up in the corner of the house, and she was quite happy it was there. She liked dogs, and it didn't do any harm. It was just, seeing a nice little dog, happy, curled up, fast asleep in the corner. But then she thought, why is it doing this, and who owns it? It's obviously well fed. Well, it didn't ask for any food or anything. So she had a really great idea. She got out a piece of paper, and she wrote, on the piece of paper a note saying, your dog comes to my house every time in the afternoon. I don't know who your dog is, but it's welcome. I like dogs. But I just want to know why it comes here. And she rolled up the note and put it in the collar, like a message. And the next day the dog came back, had a new note, a reply. And the dog curled up in the corner. She took out the note, and this fellow said, "It's my dog. I just live a few streets away. My house, I have a busy wife, a mother-in-law, 5 kids, school holidays, and it's so noisy. My dog comes to your house for some peace and quiet." And at the end, P.S., can I come over too? That is a story of our modern life. So, yeah, life does become noisy and stressful, but that's the life. We can't ask for much else because we're that stress-producing being as well. But what we can do, we can come over here just to realize just how easy it is just to sit down and relax. As long as you're not trying to get jhanas or trying to get enlightened, then you can relax. And then, of course, jhanas creep up on you. But anyway, so what we do have here, I'm not sure what Bianca's been telling you, but we do have the opportunity, what we call self-retreats here. So especially if you can't get into a main retreat, many of you know what to do. You've heard the stories and the jokes many, many times, and if you want more, they're all recorded somewhere. There's not anything which I've said which is not on tape to be used against me one day. So it's all recorded somewhere. So because of that, sometimes we've got information overload. But what we really need is the opportunity just to relax and be peaceful. Just be encouraged. Go just take a rest. Just meditate. Just be peaceful. Be still. That's why many people now come here, not for the organized retreats, but the self-retreats. We should call them no self-retreats, but they're not enlightened yet. When they do, then we call it no self-retreat. But anyway, in the meantime, you just, when you've been on a retreat here, you can, when there's no other retreat on, you just come in here, book in, and then you just get a room, and make your own lunch and breakfast, or you can just wander over to Bodhinyana Monastery where there's plenty of food to eat, and then just have a nice quiet time, look after yourself, which is a beautiful thing to do. So this is what this resource is there for. So it's just the simile of the little dog. It runs away because it's sometimes so noisy in your house or in the world, so you can come over here and just take a nice rest, meditate, be still, be peaceful. And that's one of the things I really like about this place. Because we own it, we can actually offer that. It's not always retreats on. And of course, people really need that in this world. To be compassionate, yes, we can teach, we can help solve some of the problems in this world, but they keep coming up again and again and again. Wars and corruption and exploitation and stuff. And I often think that some of those terrible things which we have to deal with in this world, most people are just so stressed out, they're so tired, they're so exhausted, they've got so much pain inside of them that they give that pain out to others as well. If only they can just come and have a bit of peace and quiet, forgiveness, rest. I think a lot of times the hard edges would be taken off. There is the story of the bad elephant, and that bad elephant, for anyone who is German speaking, that's the second book there which became a bestseller about the elephant who lost its happiness. And there's a wonderful little story of an elephant, a royal elephant in this story, who would be like a Mercedes-Benz or Rolls-Royce limo for royalty in the time they lived in the jungles, because the royal elephants would be able to carry the king anywhere. So this royal elephant was a very well-behaved, very docile, but very strong, obedient elephant, until it changed its character. And when the keeper was right behind the elephant, that was when the elephant dumped, pooed. Now, it's scary, elephants, because in Sri Lanka, sometimes that they have these processions where they always have the elephant. And a couple of times, because I was well known over there, I had to join in a ceremonial procession standing right behind the elephant. Now you might think, oh, that's such a great honor. But as I was walking behind this elephant, only maybe a couple of feet behind its backside, that I was doing my chanting to please don't dump now. Because if it did, it would go right over me. And number two, even worse, please don't pass wind. Because you see the size of an elephant, just how much would come out of its backside, whether it was air or whether it was... It would pass out. And I don't know why they put monks right in the front without any protection. But anyway, I managed to survive twice, but I don't like doing that again. But so anyway, this elephant, that's what it did on purpose. And when the king came past, these elephants, they sucked up water and it struck, and they washed the king. And it wasn't holy water, it was stinky water. So the elephant became really bad-natured. And the king wondered why. Is it something wrong with it? Now they tried if it had PMS, but they found out it was a male, so that didn't work. They tried out if it was some other disease, which it had, and nothing there. So they couldn't find anything. Psychologists couldn't find it out. So in the end, in the story, it was a Buddha in his previous life. He was a minister, very wise. That's the milieu for all sorts of stories of the past. But anyway, the minister said, I'll look after this, leave it with me. So the minister decided to, instead of judging, just to get some evidence, he just sat by the elephant stall at night to explore what happened overnight, get some more data. So he was sitting there quietly past midnight, and about 1 a.m. he heard some rustling in the bushes just behind the elephant stall. He poked his head through those bushes, and there was a camp of bandits. They were meeting there every evening to decide who they were going to kill for not paying their debts. They were loan sharks, who they're going to sell drugs to, what house they're going to rob. They're really, really bad people. And they were meeting there every evening. And the minister understood what the reason the elephant's change of character was. The next day he had all those bad people arrested by the king, and he invited the monks and the nuns as well to go there and do the chanting and do the question and answer sessions and meditate. And what happened? Well, so because they were kind, good, peaceful people next to the elephant stall, the elephant became a good elephant again and became even better than he was before. And it was associating with crazy people. So I won't call them bad people, just crazy, violent people. That the elephant just got the vibes from that. So that is why just coming to a monastery or a retreat center, you just pick up on the good vibes. You don't even need to learn anything or hear anything. Just where it comes from, that is all that's necessary. That's why many people, they come to a temple or a monastery just to chill out for a week or 2 weeks, and they go back home, tuned up, re-energized, a new husband, a new wife, and the partners really appreciate it. So much so that when the husband gets cranky again, they send them off to Bodhinyana Monastery for a service. Like you send your car there. And it works, because associating with good people makes you good. But the problem is, when the nuns associate with you, of course they get worse. They pick up your energy. But no, they got such a great store of wisdom and kindness, of course. They can take all that in, no problem at all. So anyway, what it means is just coming to quiet, peaceful places. It does make you quiet and peaceful, where you feel relaxed, accepted, and loved. And I'm going to finish off I should say a few more things about when you go home. When you do go home, wherever that home is, there are so many opportunities to meditate. And by meditate, I mean make peace, be kind, be gentle. Sometimes you may not be able to watch your breathing, you may be sick, but what you can do, you can always, whatever's in front of me is the most important thing in the world, and now is the most important time, and all I do is to care, be kind. It's amazing just how that makes meditation applicable any place, any time. And what it means is because you're not fighting the world, you're giving importance to this moment and caring for it, you tend to relax and lessen your stress. So when you do things like that, any place you can meditate. And if you want peace and quiet, if you demand something which you can't get, expecting things from the world which it can't give you, of course you're going to be suffering. But it's all about letting go of wanting, being kind, opening the door of your heart to what happens to you in this life. And when that occurs, it means that you're more peaceful. But it is helpful to have a place in your house or apartment or somewhere where you can meditate. And I've told people that, I don't know, especially in Australia, we have some of the biggest houses in the world. And our houses, we've got bedrooms, spare bedrooms, guest bedrooms, we have playrooms, ruckus rooms, our own theatre rooms. We have so many rooms, walk-in wardrobes, but we do not have a peace room, a meditation room. You don't need much of a meditation room. The story was there was a lawyer in New York some years ago, and this lawyer, he was a criminal lawyer in a time when New York State had a death penalty. So this was stress. If he made a mistake, his client would get electrocuted. So, this is no small thing. So, it's amazing in the United States how advanced they were. They had sort of electric wheelchairs, electric toothbrushes, even electric chairs. That's a really gross joke. But anyway, so he had to be very careful. And so that in the afternoon, such stress, he was a pain in the neck for his secretary. And so his secretary told him, do some meditation. No place to do meditation. So they had a cupboard in their office, just a cupboard. And they cleared out the cupboard of all the papers, put a cushion in there, and every lunch hour, his secretary locked him in the cupboard for half an hour. He had to lock him in there so he didn't come out. And he said, people would call him. Oh, they knock on the door and come in. Where is he? He's in his cupboard. It's a wonderful idea to, if that's your husband or your wife, get a cupboard, lock her in there for half an hour to meditate. Lock your husband in there. Whatever. But he did that voluntarily because he realized that half an hour, this was a long time ago, half an hour meditation, quietness, downtime, meant that he had relaxed and was a far better lawyer in the afternoon. And personal story where I started finding this out in the fake world out there was even as a student at Cambridge. We had final examinations in 72. This was 1972. This was in theoretical physics, quantum physics, astrophysics of the galaxy, general theory of relativity, all simple stuff. And and it was my teachers, professors, it's important. If you do well in your a degree from Cambridge University, then you're set for life. And so the stress was on me. And I tell people, if only I had known I was going to become a Buddhist monk, I wouldn't have worried and troubled myself so much. But I didn't know that then, so I worked really hard. And it was stressful. And really weird, the exam timetable, starting on Monday, 3-hour exam in the morning, hour lunch, 3-hour exam in the afternoon, same on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday as well. 6 days in a row. And your life depended upon this. So they said. So that was really high stress. But meditation came to the rescue. Because what I did, I never had any lunch those days. Big breakfast, nice dinner in the evening, no lunch. Because hour for lunch, I meditated. I went to my room, and this is what happened. It's just how you can totally overcome stress on what was a really important occasion. What happened, sat down, when I got to my room, had about half an hour before I had to get ready and go to the exam room again. Sat down, and the first thing came into my mind, what had I done in the morning exam? What do you think? Was that question correct? Should I put on some more explanation? Oh my goodness, what did I say? And we all know that once the exam paper is in, it's finished. You can't change it. But how many people worry and think they could, call up Doctor Who, get in the TARDIS and go back and change everything? You can't do that. It's done, finished. But I had enough training to be able to let go of the past. Can't change it. And why are you worrying about it? That's destroying energy which you don't have. So, I let go of the past. The next thing which came up into my mind, what's coming up in the afternoon exam? Should I get out my books, start studying again? And I realized even then, now this moment is where your future is made. What I really needed was to relax and re-energize and chill out for half an hour so that I could do well in the afternoon. So I stopped worrying about the future. Had to, important. Here's where I learned, let go of the past, let go of the future, so I can be in the present moment and restore my energies. You learn from the present moment way more than you learn from the past. And this is where you make your future, right now. So when I learned how to really stay in the present moment, started getting some energy up. But the first thing I noticed really shocked me. It shocked me because I hadn't noticed it before. I thought I was aware, but I wasn't. If you let go of the past and future, you get insight, awareness, and you find out what's going on. My body was shaking. It was just nervousness because it's high stress, and I just bought into the stressfulness of an exam. I was physically shaking, and that shocked me. I didn't think I did that. But once you're aware of your body, you find out all the stuff which it does. And after a while, when you can feel the body and understand it and learn from it, it's so easy just to calm the body down. So the shaking stopped. And the last thing I noticed was my brain, which was exhausted. When I told that story, I said the nearest simile I could find was a used tea bag with all the goodness soaked out of it, nothing left. These days you might say coffee grounds, which has already been all the coffee has been filtered out. All you got is the dregs. That's when all the energy has been drained out of my poor brain, and it felt bleh. And so when you notice that, how can you do an exam? How can you actually achieve or produce when you've got such a tired brain? And I was aware of that. And all you need to do is just stay there, be still with the brain, and it recharged. Only about 5 or 10 minutes, very quick, young. And so when I came out of my meditation, I was really ready to rock and roll, and just went out there to the exam room afterwards. Hadn't eaten anything, but my brain, my body was relaxed and energized, and I did really well. And they never told me the time, but sometime afterwards, my friends, they looked at me apparently, and they thought I was cheating because I wasn't nervous, and they said I was the only student who smiled when I went into the afternoon examination. And that's why they thought I was cheating. I had the answers up my sleeve or something. But it wasn't those, it was just learning how to relax. That is how you learn about your body and how to relax it, make it healthy so it doesn't shake, it feels really good, how to sleep well at night, and learn about your brain, your mind gets so exhausted, struggling, pushing, you can't produce when you do things like that. So because of that, you learn how to be far more productive in whatever you do in your life. You learn how to be more energized, so you don't get so grumpy and angry at the people who have to put up with you in the office or in life. You learn by doing less that you can produce much more. Straight crazy thing, but it's been proven again and again. That's why Harvard calls it half an hour of meditation at lunchtime is an investment of time. If you start speaking their language, then they take it on board. An investment of time, investment of energy, investment of life. So therefore you can do a lot. So find yourself a nice little corner, a cupboard somewhere, and just get your friend, your boss, or if your boss is a problem, get all the people who work under him or her to lock him in the cupboard or her in the cupboard for half an hour, whether he likes it or not. For half an hour. So they can have some peace and quiet, and you have peace and quiet for them. So this is the importance of what we learn here. And you don't have to write it down and just remember it, because it gets inside of you. And this is actually the real learning, which is just like you learn how to drive a car. You have the coach sitting next to you saying, do it this way, do it that way. But after a while you drive the car and just it's second nature to you. You don't even think about it. Or playing tennis or playing whatever sport. At first you have to say, push your arm this way, this way, this way. Keep on doing it. And then when you actually play the game, you just do it because it's natural to you. That's like meditation. So hopefully you've learned a lot from this retreat, and just much of it, you think you've forgotten, but you remember it. And little by little, you get very peaceful. It's going to happen. You can't resist it. If you haven't got your paycheck yet, it's coming in the mail. And sometimes the mail is slow, but it gets there eventually. And one day you find yourself getting really peaceful and happy because of the meditation. As I said yesterday, you don't have to thank me. You don't have to thank the nuns or the monk, the novice sitting next to me, or the people who made this place happen, or Bianca and all the people who came to offer food for you. Don't thank anybody. Just whatever you've learned here, give it to somebody else. So it passes the gift of peace, happiness, stillness, way, way, way out there in the world. You'll affect so many people when you go home. On the flight back and the airport, they look at you and you're so peaceful. And then they may say, hey, where have you been? You've been on a holiday somewhere. It must have been a great resort because you feel so relaxed and happy. Say, yeah, it was Club Med Serpentine. And that will impress people more than anything else, the fact that you're relaxed and happy. And you go and get your medical checkup and say, wow, what's going on? Your cholesterol is down. Well, you should have seen how much I ate. But it's gone down. Blood pressure is down. Everything is just so peaceful and happy. Yes, because that's what meditation does to you. It relaxes everything. So anyway, that's the gift. And you tell other people what to do, and then they can also enjoy it as well. So there we go. It is 9 o'clock now. So what we're going to do, a 15-minute toilet break. So, and after 15 minutes, then we do a guided loving-kindness meditation. And it finishes about 9:45 when I give a blessing. And that's the official end of the retreat, unless I get at least 2 people who say, Ajahn Brahm, can we extend? So, okay, toilet break now, letting go room. So the first out is the first who gets in the cubicle. On your marks, getting set. I think it's Joyce. No, Joy is being overtaken by DeVito, who's leading by her nose to the toilet. The letting go rooms. So in the meantime, those of you who don't need to go to the toilet, you can just sit down and start your meditation.